I'm Ashton Addison from the Crypto Coin Show, and today on Blockchain Interviews, we have Tom Ngo, Executive Lead at Metis. Tom, welcome to the show, and thanks for taking the time.
Great, thanks for having me.
You're very welcome. Excited to dive into Metis's Layer 2 protocol. We've had the CEO on in the past years, and so much has happened since then. I know the protocol is in mainnet now, and there's so much growth happening in all the different little subsectors of crypto. I'm excited to learn more about the intricacies of the Layer 2 and how it all works. I'd love to start off our conversation with just a high level on if you could explain sort of what is Metis and what makes it unique. Then we can dive into all the details.
Yeah, Metis is a L2 infrastructure scaling Ethereum. The reason Metis was created to really expand on the ethos of why blockchain and Ethereum exists. With that, three founders came on board and came together to build the Metis L2 organization. So here we have been able to really pioneer and push the boundaries of what L2 can do. First, one of the first networks to really move data availability off chain. So you can say that modularity has already been in play in the early days. And we recently also launched the first sequencer pool for an Ethereum L2 as well. So super excited to talk about that today.
Very cool. And now that there are many Layer 2s on top of Ethereum, it's great because you're getting faster transactions and cheaper, but there's so many to choose from. Can you explain a little bit on what makes a Layer 2 good, and how can you decipher between all of the different Layer 2s to choose from to develop apps or to do transactions on top of Ethereum?
Yeah, I think fundamentally, the reason and why L2 exists, we are all unified for the same reason. Making Ethereum experience faster with solving the security, also the scalability issue with blockchain itself. So from a standpoint of just like an infrastructure side, we are very similar in many ways. What makes Metis unique is we have a very mature ecosystem, a mature economic model as well. Also utilizing Metis not just for gas, for governance, but also securing the network with the sequencer. So that's one of the major highlight of what makes Metis different. We're heavily into DeFi, and we see this as a really big sector for blockchain itself. And emerging market is one of the areas that we're tackling with some great partners that we're happy to onboard.
Very cool. I'm interested in the DeFi part. I would love to dive into that later. And you know, one of the taglines that I saw for Metis was it's super fluid and self-sustainable. Could you explain what that means?
Yeah, super fluid is creating an environment where capital and assets are really expandable with having a native asset to secure a network and really moving into our partnership with EigenLayer. It opens up a layer of LRTs, which is unique. Majority of the L2s utilize Ethereum. Metis is utilizing the Metis asset to really secure the network. With partnership with EigenLayer, we'll definitely explore dual staking, how we can combine Metis as a security aspect as well as Ethereum validator. So from a standpoint, Superfluid is creating really expansive capital and utility in the ecosystem and creating interoperability. Our recent announcement with Chainlink CCIP is really expanding that with our network. One of the things that we see challenging for blockchain itself is interoperability and liquidity fragmentation, and creating a very interactive environment to other chains with CCIP. We see that as an important kind of step forward for mass adoption. For the normal user, it's hard to bridge, hard to interact with DeFi. There's like multiple DeFi dApps on different ecosystems. But imagine being able to interact with just your own network that you choose and interact with other areas, other dApps within the whole industry as a whole, without having to leave, your network.
Yeah, interoperability is going to be key for sure, especially to build onto the network effect of Ethereum. And you mentioned there about EigenLayer and like liquid tokens. Could you explain that a little bit further? Does that mean it's advantageous for people to stake their Ethereum on Metis or using a liquid staking token mechanism? Like, how exactly does that work?
Yeah, a lot of networks and protocols are looking to expand how to utilize, their staked asset, and accepting that on the network for Metis really allows dApps to bring on assets and utilize it in the different DeFi dApps. So imagine having to be able to use your LRT and staking it or working with a dApp and then really expanding on the opportunity that you can really extract from their interaction with blockchain and DeFi as well. That's how we see it. And with Metis having our own asset to secure the network, this opens up that economy for Metis asset as well. You can stake it to secure the network. You can take that, I would say, lock the asset for to secure the network, and then you can utilize that with certain dApps that do accept that to really expand on the DeFi usage and interacting with the new exciting innovative dApps in the ecosystem.
Mm-hmm. That's very cool. And with the amount of dApps coming in, what is the key to having a lot of dApps being built on Metis or being moved over from Ethereum? How do you make an ecosystem that incentivizes users to come and use those dApps, and for a lot of dApps to be built so that there's not just one dApp? You really need to have an expansive ecosystem.
Yeah, we're working with some of the top protocols. Most exciting one that just launched is Hercules Exchange, a very innovative DEX that really has proven itself with a code source from the Camelot Exchange from Arbitrum. That's one exciting area. We have WAGMI. It's a very, I would say, intuitive DEX as well. We consider that like a centralized exchange experience, but on chain, where you have leverage trading as well. And we have a few other dApps that are coming on board, probably industry first. We'll highlight that when that's ready. So we have quite a few exciting DeFi dApps that are building, working with some of the biggest names as well. We currently have Aave as one of our forefront dApps in the ecosystem.
Yeah, that's a good one to have. And I like that there's a lot of DEXs being built. I think people need alternatives or complementary exchanges on top of centralized exchanges, because sometimes, the crypto's moving so fast, it's nice to also have a decentralized space and a blockchain that's fast and cheap. You don't have to trust third parties. You can start using the DEXs and then get more comfortable with DeFi as well. With those DEXs and also DeFi applications, is there, what are the incentives for those DEXs? They have all these choices of where they're going to build their protocol on top of, and they choose Metis. Is there an incentive for them to do so, or just the advantages of the speed and cost of the blockchain?
Yeah, I think it's working with teams that have innovative approach to DEXs, right? DEXs are known to really emit a lot of, I would say, rewards to attract liquidity. I think there's many different approach and many different viewpoints of what DEX is kind of the right DEX, but we welcome all. I think it's an open market and building that community and really opening up that channel where any DEX that would like to build on top of in Metis ecosystem, they can apply for grants, put up their proposal, and our team would definitely happy to review and support. Being a smaller team, we're fairly nimble, so we can work closely with the project, give them the support that they need, and actually kind of connect them with other protocols in the ecosystem, so they can be successful.
Yeah, no, that's a great point, and I was curious about that. Is there a Metis Labs or a foundation or like a venture arm that helps incubate, build dApps? How exactly are you helping dApps enter into the Metis ecosystem?
Yeah, so our ecosystem development fund that we just launched is at 4.6 million. Metis ecosystem development fund is utilized in the multiple aspects that you just highlighted, right? What do projects need? Sometimes they need capital to kind of bootstrap their team. They need, capital to run audits. These are things that we can support through the ecosystem development fund to support any project in the different verticals that they may need support in, from business to development to marketing.
Mm-hmm. And is that an ongoing campaign where, say, there's already dApps that are on Ethereum, or somebody that's just looking to start, some developers looking to start a new dApp, how would they approach you? Do they have to be at a certain stage and then you'd fund them and help them with other resources? How does that work?
Yeah, so if anybody interested, they can just apply and see what they need. Either a new project that is, fresh start, or a product that's more mature we have Aave, we have a few big names that we're talking with already, and currently just finalizing on some details that are big and successful on other networks. They're just looking for an area to really expand. I think kind of the omni-chain experience and really having user interoperability into the ecosystem, like Radiant's a good one, right? They're really focused on the omni-chain experience. Great team. So these are some of the protocols that we are speaking to, and we see the value in having a user base that trusts that name, trusts the dApp itself.
Definitely. No, that's a good key. And with that omni-chain experience, does that just mean easily connecting into the EVM ecosystem or other blockchains in other programming languages that also have liquidity? How far can like the cross-chain experience reach?
I think sky's the limit. Currently, EVM is the most accessible currently, just the interoperability there. I think there's a lot of great teams building the interaction between Cosmo and Solana as well. Mm-hmm. We see the future of blockchain almost unified as one. Are we there yet? Quite not there. When you're interacting, you're still kind of cringing if your assets are moving correctly. I'm pretty sure you feel the same way, Ashton, sometimes. But yeah, with EVM chain, I think there's a lot of there's almost like a baseline of compatibility. And for being an L2, any dApp on Ethereum can build and port their protocol onto the Metis ecosystem fairly easily.
No, I think that's key to adoption, interoperability and adaptability, and getting past those initial startups of like getting into the ecosystem. And I know a lot of people still that they hold Bitcoin and they hold Ethereum, but they still haven't really dove into layer 2s. Maybe they're scared of the bridging experience, or they don't know exactly, it's a little bit foreign to them. What's the key to lowering the barriers to entry to get onto a layer 2 like Metis if you're stuck on just holding just core Ethereum?
Yeah, I think that we're listed on, Metis itself is listed on many exchanges with the network integrated into those centralized exchange. So that's, I would say, the first and lowest barrier of entry. It's no different, right? The experience is the same. Everything on the back end is you don't really see. But from a DeFi and just on-chain experience, yeah, we see a lot of capital flowing into L2. 7 billion last year. We're going north of 35 billion and growing from when I last checked. So it's just a matter of time, right? We have your early adopters, then it becomes mainstream. And people are realizing interacting with the main chain is so expensive, and it's not very practical in emerging markets. We see, people using this as a P2P, a value transfer network, then, transferring $5 and you're paying $4 for gas fee or $3 depending on usage. And it's unpredictable, right? That's kind of the challenge that L2 really solved for mainstream adoption.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. If the fear of the unknown was a disincentive, then looking at the gas fee on the Ethereum mainnet is definitely an incentive to understand, hey, there are new chains that are on the EVM network that are just so much faster and cheaper. And especially if you're in emerging markets, it really doesn't take that many minutes of your time to understand, hey, I can just bridge, or I can just withdraw off of Binance onto the Metis chain instead of Ethereum mainnet. And it's like just one click.
Exactly.
Very cool. And, we had Metis on many years ago. I know this is a many multi-year project, and in the future as well. I'm sure there's decades of planning. But I want to talk about the present day and where exactly the status of the mainnet and the latest updates. I saw a recent post about an update to the mainnet. Can you talk about exactly the status of the chain and all the work that's been done up till now?
Yeah, so Metis started off as an optimistic-based code stack and really have evolved into its own tech stack where we are totally unique to ourselves. We did data availability off-chain, and recently we opened up the sequencer pool and rotation. So this is an innovative and really industry first for us. What's next? We have phase 2 of the decentralized sequencer, where we will integrate the rewarding mechanism for supporters of the network itself. And looking towards Q3, Q4, we will have one of the first chains to have hybrid rollup with optimistic and ZK proof combined. So we're super excited about that and all the ecosystem and the projects that we'll be building to support that.
Mm-hmm. And with that sequencer or the decentralized sequencer, what does that mean exactly? Is that the sequence of transactions being confirmed, or what is a sequencer?
Yeah, most layer 2 currently operate with one sequencer, meaning that there is high chance or any, I would say, risk of censorship. If the sequencer goes down, the network stalls. There's ways to, I would say, interact with L1, but yet it creates it's not a fluid experience. The liveliness is also affected. And that's the ethos of blockchain, right? Liveliness, immutable, censorship resistant. So being L2, I think that is just the evolutional step for what a L2 should do. If we want to really follow what blockchain and the ethos of vision of why blockchain was created.
Okay, no, that's great. Thanks for the explanation, Tom. And speaking of decentralization and having more people involved in more locations and community, I know that there's a few different community involvement aspects on Metis on how the community can get involved or vote on the governance or projects. Can you explain exactly how everyday people get involved in Metis and help govern it?
Yeah, we have CEG, which helps govern some of the protocols that come through, proposals that we post regarding the sequencer. Community can just interact with the page, vote, and we will also expand on how we do our voting and governance to really in line of decentralization. One of the things that we see is, it's almost like it's who has the most asset that has the most voice in a voting scenario. And with us, our approach is balancing out with reputation as well as who are the contributors to the ecosystem, right? Not really influenced by certain, I would say, personal desire, but actually for the DApp, the network itself, in a more balanced and really distributed way.
Yeah, no, I think that's key. And it sounds like there's a lot of growth on the DEX side and the DeFi side. I'm curious on your prospects for the growth of DeFi, this sector. There was a huge explosion of DeFi in the 2021 run, and the industry still isn't really back to that amount of TVL, although I think the base assets really inflated it up, and I feel like we're getting towards that point and probably will explode much bigger than previous cycles in DeFi. What do you think about the advancements of DeFi where it is now compared to last cycle? And are we just at the beginning? Are these fundamental advancements actually going to make DeFi 10x bigger? What are your prospects for that?
Yeah, I think the evolution of the space with a huge adoption of count abstraction, ways for users to actually, I would say the mainstream users to recover passwords or interact with the chain without really having to know MetaMask is the key thing. People can create a wallet just using their social login, their Gmail, their email account. It's a huge step. We see that with gaming currently. Gaming has been a big talk in the industry, but yet haven't really quite taken off and sustained. I think DeFi will always be key, and there's always room to improve. We won't get to a point where until we feel like, hey, we're interacting with like our mobile DApp, and we're interacting with a blockchain where we don't even see the blockchain interaction. Everything just smooth and seamless, like operating and downloading any DApp, and also having the security of like, hey, I can trust this DApp, right, and not have to go back and do your due diligence and make sure that this is not a malicious DApp. I think that's one of the key things is the security side as well, and having a trusted source to verify some of these dApps. But most ecosystems have their website where you can explore the ecosystem. That's a good resources for anybody to interact and really get to know what's being built, who is supporting that, and how the network is also endorsing or helping to verify some of these protocols.
Definitely. No, I've seen some of the ecosystem websites. They have a link to sort of showcase the new dApps, and I know DEXs and DeFi are popular and close to my heart, and I think it's one of the first movers. But there's so many other industries, like you mentioned, gaming or NFTs, other industry use cases. Are those things that you're starting to see as well? Those kinds of applications coming to Metis and saying, hey, we want to build with this underlying technology?
Yeah, we're super excited to onboard DeFi Kingdom. They will be launching their first, and something that they've been building for the last few years is PvP. And with this, Metis will be the home for the Coliseum, where players from DeFi Kingdom community, which is already on a few chains, and they have a big, very, very vibrant community as well, will be able to interact on Metis and go back to their home chain. We're seeing esports within the DeFi Kingdom team and really expanding on that. That this is our first initial team that we're supporting. They have proven to be here for the long run, been through a few, I would say, cycles, and has what it takes to really deliver and really innovate. So super excited to really dive into the gaming sector and kicking it off with the team from the DeFi Kingdom.
Oh, that's great. And I think that there's so much growth in the gaming sector. Gaming is a multi-billion dollar industry, much bigger than the size of crypto. And because, or at least the audience is like most of the world. And once that blockchain gets integrated, whether it's just in the back end, as you say, they don't really know that they're using it. Eventually, they're going to reap the benefits, and that technology will be used for most people around the world that are gaming.
Yeah, I believe so too as well. Gaming is huge in the APAC region, and you see how big Twitch is and game streaming is. Blockchain is we're almost there.
And what are you and the team doing to prepare for the future, or what else is in the roadmap in growing the protocol or looking for different applications and just getting more users to onboard their capital from Ethereum and other chains into Metis?
For Metis as a whole, we've been always innovating and we'll continue to innovate. We'll see what the industry, how the industry evolves, and we'll continue to contribute to the innovations and really leading this side. In terms of how do we really see adoption, it's really supporting innovative dApps. The dApps utility of how these teams utilize blockchain is the key thing. We are just the base infrastructure to create that environment where teams can easily build. They can have a reliable network to really, rely on is the key thing. And investing and really supporting those teams is how you drive users. I think with the major dApps that we use today, right? They don't see the underlying internet connection. It's basically they see the dApp itself. So the dApps, the teams, it's really what makes and will drive user adoption to any network.
I'm excited to follow the growth. Would love to have you guys back on in the near future. After the summer, we'll see how DeFi summer goes and just everything from the Bitcoin ETF, other potential ETFs. And I think that capital is going to slowly trickle down into DeFi and layer 2s as well. So it's an exciting future.
Yeah, we're super excited and glad to be here. And we're glad to be contributing to the ecosystem and meeting great people like you that have been with the space. And yeah, we'll have another conversation 6 months, 12 months down the line, and it'll be something totally different and new and evolutionary.
Definitely. And Tom, is there a best place for people to learn more about Metis or look at those ecosystem dApps or jump into the socials and ask questions?
Yeah, Metis.io is a great resource. Also, Metis L2 is our social handle. Those are the two pillars of resources that any new users that would like to learn more about Metis, if they're a builder, we have applications online as well. So please, stop by, visit the page. Any questions, feel free to reach out to us on social media.
Sounds great, Tom. And I will leave those links in the show notes below. All the best with Metis and everything moving forward. Let's definitely follow up in the near future.
Ashton, thank you.